The Galactic Academy's xenobiology laboratory hummed with the soft blue luminescence of containment fields. Instructor Velthar, a towering Crithian with crystalline skin that refracted light into rainbow patterns, stood before the assembled cadets with his forearms crossed in what every species recognized as disapproval. "This specimen," he announced, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into standard galactic, "represents one of the most dangerous predatory species ever documented in our sector. Approach with extreme caution." The containment field flickered, revealing a creature no larger than a standard cargo crate. It had 4 limbs, bilateral symmetry, and forward-facing eyes that marked it unmistakably as a pursuit predator. Its skin was pale, covered partially in some form of artificial protection, and it sat cross-legged on the floor of its cell, seemingly unbothered by the 30 pairs of alien eyes studying it. Cadet Zixara, a Veltorian with scales the color of deep space, raised one of her 3-fingered hands. "Instructor, forgive my ignorance, but this creature appears docile, perhaps even weak. It has no natural armor, no venomous capabilities that I can detect, and its musculature seems unimpressive." The human in the containment field, a woman named Sarah Chen, according to her volunteer documentation, looked up at the mention and offered a slight smile. Several cadets recoiled. "It bared its teeth," someone hissed from the back. No, Instructor Velthar said, his tone carrying the weight of countless years teaching. "That is not a threat display. That is what humans call a smile. It is, paradoxically, meant to convey friendliness." He paused, letting that impossibility sink in. Which brings us to the first lesson about humans. They are walking contradictions. He activated a holographic display, showing various Earth predators. This species evolved on a death world classified as Category 9 on the habitability scale. For context, the minimum safe rating for colonization is Category 4. The human homeworld features extreme temperature variations, violent weather systems, predators at every level of the ecosystem, and microscopic organisms capable of killing most species in this room within hours. The cadets shifted uncomfortably. Sarah Chen continued to sit peacefully, now examining her fingernails with apparent boredom. "Humans," Velthar continued, "are endurance persistence hunters. On their world, they would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until the target collapsed from exhaustion. They can regulate their body temperature through a unique liquid excretion system, allowing them to function in conditions that would incapacitate most of us. They can survive on a remarkable variety of food sources, including items that are toxic to virtually every other known species. They have been documented consuming capsaicin for enjoyment, a compound we use as a military-grade deterrent." A Quellian cadet, its tentacles writhing with anxiety, spoke up. "But surely, Instructor, their fragility must limit them? Look at its skin, no scales, no carapace. How does it survive?" Velthar's expression turned grave. "An excellent question. Humans compensate for their lack of natural armor with perhaps their most dangerous trait, adaptability. They heal from injuries that would be fatal to most species. Their pain tolerance is extraordinary. They have been known to continue fighting with wounds that would send any of us into shock. And their psychological resilience," he trailed off, pulling up another hologram. "This is documentation from the Kyriel border conflict. A human merchant vessel was boarded by raiders. The crew consisted of 3 humans, unarmed, facing 12 Kyriel warriors, a species, I remind you, bred specifically for combat." The hologram played silently. The cadets watched as the 3 humans, using nothing but improvised weapons and the ship's environment, methodically eliminated every raider. It wasn't the violence that disturbed the watching cadets. It was the cold efficiency, the way the humans moved as a coordinated unit without any visible communication, the way they turned their own apparent weakness into tactical advantage. "They don't look scared," Zixara observed, her voice barely a whisper. "That," Velthar said, "is perhaps the most dangerous thing about them. Humans have a concept they call spite. When threatened, when pushed to their limits, many species surrender or flee. Humans, they become angry. They become determined. They will tear apart starships with their bare hands if it means survival. They will walk through fire, endure torture, and fight until their last breath. Not because they don't feel fear, but because they refuse to let fear control them." He gestured to Sarah Chen. "This volunteer has agreed to demonstrate. Cadet Zixara, please approach the containment field." Zixara hesitated, then moved forward. Up close, the human seemed even less impressive, smaller than the Veltorian, obviously weaker. Now, Velthar said, I want you to imagine you are a pirate who has captured this human. You intend to ransom her. What do you do? I would threaten her with harm. Show her, Velthar instructed. Zixara raised her clawed hand in what was universally recognized as a threat posture. Sarah Chen looked at the claw, then up at the towering reptilian alien, and then, impossibly, she laughed. You think this is funny? Zixara asked, genuinely confused. Sarah stood up, and though she was significantly smaller, something in her posture made her seem larger. I think, she said in perfect standard galactic, her voice calm and conversational, that you've made a critical error in your threat assessment. The human is unarmed, contained and outnumbered, Zixara said, looking to Velthar for confirmation. True, Sarah agreed, but you've forgotten something important. She smiled again, and this time several cadets understood why showing teeth might indeed be threatening. I don't need to be armed to be dangerous. I don't need to be free to be a threat. And I certainly don't need to outnumber you to win. She sat back down, completely relaxed. Because if you threaten me, if you push me, if you make the mistake of thinking I'm helpless just because I look soft, well, then it stops being about whether I can hurt you. It becomes about how much I'm willing to hurt myself to ensure you regret it. The laboratory was silent. Instructor Velthar deactivated the containment field, and Sarah Chen walked out, nodding politely to the assembled cadets. As she passed Zixara, she paused. No hard feelings, she said cheerfully. You seem nice. Want to grab some food after this? I know a place that serves something that won't kill you, even if I'm eating acid-based appetizers. After Sarah left, Velthar addressed his stunned class. That, cadets, is why we study humans, not because they are the strongest or the fastest or the most naturally armed, but because they are survivors. Because they adapt, because they take their weaknesses and forge them into weapons, and because, more than any other species in the known galaxy, they understand one fundamental truth. Dangerous is not about what you are. It's about what you're willing to become. Zixara raised her hand slowly. Instructor? Yes, cadet? I think I understand now, she paused. And I think I'd like to take her up on that meal invitation. If she's willing to be an ally, I want her on my side. Velthar's crystalline face reflected something that might have been a smile. Now you're learning. Dismissed. As the cadets filed out, chattering nervously about their new understanding of humanity, Velthar updated his lesson notes. Next semester, he decided he would add a new section. Why humans make excellent friends and terrifying enemies. The distinction he had learned long ago often came down to a single choice, and humans were very, very good at making people regret choosing poorly.